Not quite sure where to start. Obviously, a game of some interesting runs. I think a lot of teams that have not been through this before would have been in a tough shape mentally at halftime when we gave up the run right before halftime. And yet there was no sense of, of disaster amongst those players. And so, we traded baskets for the first couple minutes of the second half, and then we got going a little bit. We got ourselves moving again. I thought we stood around a little bit too much in part of the second quarter, and part of the third quarter was part of what we did in game one and in the fourth quarter. But once we got the ball moving side to side and were able to attack them and make them have to move their feet to get out and guard people, we took advantage of some matchups. Obviously, Emma was terrific tonight. Lena struggled shooting a little bit, but Emma was terrific. Tosh, her drives to the basket when we were making that run were huge. But we got a contribution from a lot of people. I thought, obviously Christy had a great fourth quarter. Little by little, it's looking like Christy Tolliver that we all know. I thought Ariel Powers gave us a huge lift tonight, and we did what we were supposed to do. But there's a lot of work left to do. I mean, we've held serve. The next game will be the hardest game so far, and they know it. And we'll get our rest tomorrow, and then Saturday out there we'll prepare.
Coach, right here, just to piggyback off of Emma, like you said, she was like the missing piece that you guys didn't have last year. And now you see her performance in the postseason. I mean, it's all coming to fruition right now.
It is. I mean, I think back 2 years ago when we played Minnesota, and she was dead tired at the end of the season and beat up, and she couldn't make a shot. She struggled, and it was part of the reason, that she needed some time away from the game a little bit. She had played nonstop basketball for 6 years straight since she was, 18, 19 years old, and that took a lot out of her. She's been rejuvenated. I think her experience with her national team has upped her confidence because she's a go-to player for them, and her teammates have kept telling her, you're a go-to player for us too. You can't just have one or two, you need 3 or 4 to win a championship, and she's embraced that this last part of the season. And she was aggressive and she was looking for the ball. There's a whole different body language to her about this right now.
Speaking of aggressive, Coach,
yep.
What do you think about what Tasha Cloud did, especially recording a double-double?
Well, I mean, that's what I was talking about. Her drives to the basket really, set a tone when we were making our run in the second half. They were trying to switch a little bit so that they wouldn't lose contact with Emma and Elena. And so she took advantage of some of the switches and went right at their bigs to the rim. And, those plays are huge. She's always going to play great defense. They have tough people to handle, but what she did tonight, I mean, the 11 assists, and she's got the tough defensive assignment, and she plays, I don't know what it ended up, almost 38 minutes tonight. We had a lot of people play a lot of minutes, but, they can go rest in November sometime, but not now.
Coach, right here.
Okay.
Talk about LaToya Sanders on both ends,
Offense.
and
Well,
defense.
I mean, when you're LaToya Sanders and 6'3", and, you're relying on your long arms to guard people, she takes a beating every night. I mean, when you think about the season, she guards Cambage and Griner and Fowles and all those people, and every night she wins a lot of those battles. And I think the unsung part is that there are certain games she just steps up and makes shots. And tonight, when we were struggling, start of the third quarter, part of the first quarter, her mid-range jump shot was huge. And then the offensive rebound she got down the stretch in the last couple of minutes probably in a sense was a deciding play of the game because they had made their little run. I think they got it just under 10 right then, or right at 10, and we got another possession. We were able to use the clock and got a bucket.
Coach, on Tuesday down by 7 points going into the half, and obviously right before half you'd given up run. You said it's been positive in there. What are those conversations like in the locker room?
There are not many conversations. You know your team. I mean, it was matter of fact. We came in, we showed 4 or 5 film clips about some mistakes we made in transition defense and some pick and rolls guarding Plum. I thought we were messing around with the ball again a little bit too much and gave them some transition baskets. We showed the clips. We talked about the 5 or 6 things we want to talk about. And we went back out and played. I mean, there's no ranting and raving and any of that at halftime in any of these games. There's no fiery pep talk. Everybody wants to know, what did you say to them? I said, well, we need to do this and, watch this. And that's what we do. I mean, that's how we go about our business.
Last question.
Mike, Elena obviously didn't have her best offensive game, but on a day she's named the MVP, how can you characterize her importance to the franchise, and how does she make people better even when she's not shooting?
Well, I actually, in some ways, this game kind of epitomized it because she didn't have a good shooting game, and yet people are running to double team her, and she's finding somebody else. She gets double-figure rebounds. She comes up with a big block shot down the stretch. Those other things are things nobody ever thinks about her. And so what she does, she knew she wasn't in a good rhythm. So she gave up herself partly to be a decoy. We drew up plays where they had to try to guard her and make sure that Christy or Emma or somebody else is open. And she, has willingly done that because it helps our team win. That's the Elena Deladon that's the MVP.
Thank you.
You bet.